Sorry I've been away for a little while. Had a couple of things to take care of, and have a new few set of knives, some trade. This one is one amongst some of those trades. So, anyways, everybody, let's talk blades. That's what we're into today. Is one of those days. Boker. If you guys are familiar with Boker, you guys know that they make some awesome stuff. You also know that in the past, I wasn't a huge fan of Boker. I think my very first knife from Boker wasn't all that great. I no longer have that knife. It was years back, and this was before Boker started using the tree emblem on their stuff. Man, that was it was a cool design, but it was just a little simple folder. I ended up getting rid of it. I kind of miss it now. I think if I tried looking it up, I think it doesn't have the button lock anymore, and now it's just got the little liner lock in it, so that's a little different, but I'm pretty sure if I look hard enough, I could find it. Anyways, let's get back to this. This is the Boker. I don't want to butcher the name, but you can see that it's a pretty big box with a little bit of a damaged part right there. That's okay though, as long as it's the Boker Arbolito el Gigante. I don't know if I'm saying that, if I'm butchering it. I'm probably butchering it. Micharta, and it's green Micharta. And now there was two different types that I could have chose. This one, and then there's I think it's like a wooden version. It's nice, the wooden version, but I didn't like the design on the leather scabbard for the knife was a little bit too much for me. It looked nice, but it didn't look like my style. So I stuck with the green micarta and the black leather sheath. So let's go ahead and get into it, everybody. Now this thing is beautiful. I gotta say, I'm gonna try and keep it in camera the best that I can. I'm probably gonna transition so that way you guys can see the entire knife. Very big. Very, very big. But I have to say the ergos on it are completely awesome. Now, this knife does kind of run around the $200 range, but if you're looking for a good hunting knife / camping knife, this would be a fantastic option for you, especially if you're in the $200 range for this particular knife. Now, you don't get anything too crazy in this box. You get your insurance information, this literature right here. I'm not going to go ahead and get into that. But I'm going to go ahead and get into this because this is what we're here for, right? Comes in your plastic sleeve. I added the paracord on there because it has that little attachment where you can put a string in there or leather thong, something in there to have a thigh tie for this particular piece. And that is an awesome option that this knife has that. Another thing that I like is that the leather closure on this thing is very, very simple. You just have this simple kind of, open and close type thing. It's not like a little, snap or anything like that. It's just very simplistic. But what I do find great about that is that certain type of fixed blade knives, especially ones this size, have it looped on the other side. This one's on the spine side, which is where you're supposed to have it. So when you take your knife out and you resheath it, the blade isn't cutting the strap that's holding the knife in place. Certain knives that I do have, that I haven't really shown you guys, have that where it's on the other side, so you risk cutting it each and every single time you draw the knife in and out of the sheath. Which to me just kind of, I don't like that, but I love the attention to detail that they did that on this. It's a proper way to do it. Certain knife designers don't care. They just, they flap it over, and because it's leather and you don't intend to cut it, it'll be fine. But for the most part, I still see people accidentally cutting this thing, and it becomes practically useless when it's on the other side. But the attention to detail is putting it on the right side, I think, is fantastic. That's what really, really put a smile on my face. And of course, the dangler right here. And what's cool about this is it's got the two snaps right here. You can remove this. You can remove this dangler if you don't want it, and you can have it higher on the waist, on the carry, if you really want to do that. Now, this is all 100% leather. I really do like it. It's real leather. It's fantastic. It's durable. It's just really awesome. Like I said, I added the paracord onto this because it's such a big knife. I really do. I do like the option to have a thigh tie on here. So having the paracord, I was going to put some leather string on this, but this worked out just fine. I do have a lot of paracord, so, you know, put it to use. Why not? I will get into the specs in a moment, but I am going to go ahead and get into the knife itself. Before I do that, so you got the Micharta inlay handles right here. I shouldn't call that inlay. That's probably a bad term right there. The slabs, I should say, the handle scales, excuse me. my brain's a little bit scattered right now. I really like the ergos on this thing. You have a good purchase on this Micharta. It feels fantastic. You guys all know that I have a very, very good taste for Micharta. I didn't before, but I do now. I really, really like Micharta handle knives. It's just, I don't know, it just makes sense to me. It's a little bit less, to me it's a little less generic like your G10, but I still like G10, no problem. I don't like wood handles on anything. I just have bad experiences of the wood either cracking, chipping, or warping. And me living in Southern California, wood handles on anything just doesn't really last, or doesn't really hold up too well. But, you know, I do have some here and there, but I try my hardest not to. To me, it's very delicate, but Micharta's tough stuff. It's easy to clean, it's easy to maintain, and it provides great grip. And I love the stuff. So this right here, they did a really good job. And you can see right there it says Argentina. So this knife was particularly made in Argentina. So that's really cool. Right here you can see Boker, and you can see Arbolito. You can see the little tree and the... you can see what's around that tree. I was trying to read it just now, that's why I went silent. But it's got N695 steel, so this is kind of an awesome steel. Holds a great edge. It's not too difficult to sharpen, at least that's what I've heard anyways. I'm not a huge fan of tough steels to sharpen, but if they keep a good lasting edge, then to me it's worth it, in my general opinion. Now this particular piece right here has that mirror polished, stone washed type of finish to it. Yes, I'm trying not to get too much of the reflection on there, revealing who I am and what I have. But what I really do like about this is that the guard here, I think, is the same material as the blade. It's full tang construction. You got two of these really high quality screws that are holding this thing together. I believe that this guard is being held here by the two handle scales that are made of solid Micharta. And what's really cool is that this full tang right here, they rounded it off. They crowned it off so it's nice and, you know, it just feels really good in the hand. When you're holding this in your hand, it feels great. It just feels very solid. And everything's really comfortable on this blade. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the specs of this knife for you guys the best that I can. All things said, this thing is... it's a nice piece. It really is. Now, I'm very picky with my fixed blades. I'm more into the folding knives than I am fixed blades because I carry those more. But I do appreciate a good fixed blade. And this stuff is just fantastic. Oh man, this stuff's dusty. Alright. So I'm going to get into the specs. Like I said, the weight of this item with the sheath. So you got 22.7 ounces altogether. So take that for what it is. And that's also included with the... I just added that. So give or take with the whatever tie you put on this, if you do decide to put a tie on this. But the knife itself... you're looking at a 16.39 ounces. This thing is gargantuan. It's quite comfortable, I have to say. Carrying, I did put it around on my belt loop. Excuse me, belt loop. I put it on my belt, and I tied it to my thigh, and I walked around with it a little bit just to get a good feel of it. And yeah, this is it's not light, but it ain't heavy. But it is, for its size. This is a very, very substantial knife. So I will get into the length of it. Kind of bear with me here. This is a pretty big knife. I can barely keep it in frame, but I'll try my best for you guys if I can. Here we go. So from tip to edge, you are looking at 14.5 inches with 8. I want to say about close to 8.5 inches of cutting edge. No, excuse me, 8 3/8 cutting edge with a total of 9 1/4 blade. Now I am counting the ricasso on that one, so you can actually choke up here. I really do like that, or you can just go back. This thing is kind of like a little machete. It's pretty big. This thing does have a pretty decent amount of belly up here, which is pretty nice. And the tip isn't all that fragile, it looks like. I mean, you could stab with it, but it's more for... What am I saying? You could stab with anything, right? So let's go ahead and get into this. Calipers here. All right, so let me do it in the middle of the spine right here. You know what? No, it kind of tapers. This thing's... I'll do it at its thickest point. Why not? Right at here, the thickest point. So you're looking at a 6.0, and then at its thinnest point, you're looking at a 1.8. So it kind of it's really different because the spine is a little bit wider, and then it kind of tapers down. So take that for what that is, and then you're looking at 23.0 at the widest part of the handle. So this thing is pretty big. This isn't something that you could discreetly carry. But if I were camping, or if I was outdoors and wanted a decent knife to get the job done, this would definitely do it. With the blade steel and how it is, and the construction on how well this handle is pretty grippy, and the way that I just don't feel ever losing this because it just feels nice in the hand. It just locks in place. I have to say this knife is very well made. Very, very, very well made. And I really do like the crowning on the metal here for the full tang. They did a fantastic job with keeping this thing, and it's solid. There's nothing loose on it. There's no weird bend or warp or anything like that. It's just a fantastic knife. Now, with that being said, I gotta tell you guys, like I said, I'm not a huge... This thing it's big. It's a really big knife. I try to keep my knives a certain length. I do have the cold steel bowie. I can't remember which bowie that was, but you guys have seen it. I put it on my channel. There's a... It almost reminds me of that because it's pretty big. It's really, really big. It's not as chunky as this knife, but it's pretty darn close. And with the ridges on the handle, it just makes it for a really good grip, and it's really comfortable. Even without the gloves, and you're holding this in your hand, it feels nice. Like, it doesn't feel uncomfortable to me. I mean, it looks like it would be, right, with all those ridges. But the Micharta it feels great. It really does. I feel like I'm holding like a mini machete. This thing it's nice. It really is. It's really, really good. Now, I think I had an old-timer one. No, I still do. I still do have an old-timer. It's like a cheap, like Walmart $25 old-timer. It's either old-timer or Uncle Henry. I think it's an old-timer. I'm pretty sure it's an old-timer. Kind of bowie. And I can tell that one's way lighter than this, because that one's like 440 stainless, and it's got these like... these plastic handles. You can just tell it's something that you could just get for $25-30 at Walmart. a little quick fix, I'm going camping, I might as well grab this, crappy sheath, all that. And it's super light. It looks like it could break if you hit it just right. Maybe if you sneeze the wrong way, the guard will get loose. You can tell there's a difference between a $200 knife and a $25-$30 Walmart bought bowie for camping. But I mean, each to his own. Everybody, there's certain people that like the cheap stuff and don't mind, and then there are some people like me that kind of want the real deal, the big shebang, the creme de la creme of knives. And so you kind of go out of your way to try and find that specific piece. This one caught my eye, and I instantly was so curious about it, and I was like, oh man, I really do want this. Now having it, I can actually, it's the real deal. It feels great. It works great. I would love to, this gives me the type of vibe where I want to cut a watermelon in half with that. Now, I am planning on doing that. I actually want to get some fruits and stuff and show you guys how some of this stuff cuts. I really do. I want to show that for you guys. I don't know. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. That'd be really cool, right? Let me know if you guys want to see that. I do personally want to do something like that. But with the way things are, it's going to be a little bit more preparation and consideration towards... we're going to go through a quote-unquote food shortage here pretty soon. If not, we're already kind of going through it. It's the start of it, I guess. So I'm going to do what I can for you guys. But anyways, if you guys are interested in this, if you guys want to look it up, go ahead on Blade HQ. I know they still have some in stock. The one thing that really sold me on this knife wasn't just the knife itself, but it was the sheath. It has the carry options on it that it has. You got this, so you don't have to put this tie on here if you don't want to. The option is there. And you can remove the dangler, so it's not a permanent thing. You have these two little button snaps right here that you can just detach it. I think I like that. If you give a knife, and it doesn't need to be all tacticaled, it doesn't need to be in this plastic sheath with all the bells and whistles to make it look modern. I mean, they just did it really simple with this leather sheath to make it more carryable, but to everyone's liking. I think that's what really sold me on this knife. Like I said, this was a trade, so it's not brand new, but it is still pretty much, it hasn't been used, so it's really nice. I really enjoy it. Really comfortable stuff. The only thing that I'm worried about is that the leather seems just a little bit thin on this dangler right here, but it's still pretty thick. The stitch looks pretty decent on there. I really hope it stays together. So for those of you who are on a daily needing a knife like this, just keep those things in mind. Other than that, it's a fantastic knife. Really big, really chunky. It's got some heft to it, some weight. But it's built really solid. And I think that's what matters. When you get a knife like this, you expect top quality, especially for the money that you spend. And this is just that. It's fantastic. Either way, fantastic knife. Boker. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan at first. Now I'm hooked onto Boker knives now. They make some good stuff. So go ahead and slash that like button, stab that subscribe, slice that bell icon so you guys are notified anytime I post new stuff. And in these craziest of times, everybody, please be kind, be safe, carry responsibly, and I will see you all awesome people in the next video.